All right, SkullKing Nation, we are back with another interview in our Inside Look series at the prospects going into the NFL draft. And I am very excited to bring back another guest we had a couple years ago in this series, the voice of the Clemson Tigers, Mr. Don Munson. Don, thank you for joining us again.
Absolutely, glad to be with you.
All right, so this season we are discussing Hunter Renfrow, the 5'10", 185-pound wide receiver. This past season in 2018, finished with 49 catches, 544 yards, 1 touchdown. Really known as a slot receiver. Kind of many of the comparisons I've seen to him are like a Julian Edelman type. If you could kind of give us a little bit of an overview, kind of his career, but mainly of this past season for Hunter.
Well, for Hunter was an in-state kid. Grew up in the Myrtle Beach area, down along the coast. Was a walk-on at Clemson. He turned down some mid-major scholarship offers to come to Clemson, but so he walked on first at Clemson. Redshirted his first year when he showed up at Clemson. He weighed, I don't know, maybe 160 pounds. So. But then, he shows up, and then by his freshman year, it becomes very evident to everybody, his redshirt freshman year becomes very evident to everyone that, this kid can play. So they take him from walk-on status, and then they gave him a scholarship at a event that Coach Sweeney does with the guys during August. He gets them off campus, and they go up to this lake community. But anyhow, they did a thing there where they surprised Hunter with a scholarship, and so that's where the legend kind of started there. And then really Hunter was just a go-to wide receiver for the rest of his career. Obviously, the winning touchdown pass in the 2016 national championship game goes from the 5-star athlete to the previous walk-on, with a second left, and so that Deshaun Watson to Hunter Renfrow catch will live in infamy, certainly at Clemson. Those two guys, obviously, just legendary status. And then, you ran off his numbers for this past season, and people are probably thinking, listen to, so what's so special about this kid? Well, I'm just telling you, he was the best wide receiver on Clemson's campus. And I know that we had Justin Ross, the star freshman. I know that T. Higgins was out there running around, catching balls. But I'm just telling you, Hunter Renfrow was the best wide receiver that we had on campus last season. And whoever gets him, whoever decides to draft him, whoever gets him, instantaneously, their organization is going to be better. And not just because of what Hunter will do on the field for him, but also what he does off the field for him. He will be great in the community. You won't have any problems with him. He'll never say anything wrong in the media. He will be the perfect professional athlete. And I'm just telling you, somebody's going to draft this kid, and somebody's going to get them an absolute steal.
Yeah, I think if we start with just the on-field characteristics, again, not the biggest guy, only 5'10". His I looked at some of his measurements at the combine. Doesn't have the biggest hands, but he has very reliable hands. I mean, you watch the tape; he does not drop passes. He has strong hands to be able to corral the ball. He runs extremely crisp routes. He does not waste any energy getting in and out of his cuts in order to make sure that he can get open and provide a target for the quarterback. I mean, he is the perfect slot receiver, to be honest.
Yeah, he's a vicinity guy, what I call a vicinity guy. Just throw it in his vicinity, and he's going to get it. And he thinks that once that ball leaves the quarterback's hands, that it's his. He will go up and he will compete for the football, even though he's only 5'10", and even you mentioned his weight. And the one of the things that he's going to need to do, he's going to have to increase his physical strength. I think he only did 7 reps at 225 at the combine. So, and he knows that he knows that he's got to work on his physical strength. And guess what? They'll do that. They'll do that with him. That won't be a problem for him. But yeah, he is the epitome of a possession receiver. We used to call it third and Renfrow on air. I mean, it's third and Renfrow, and that's just the way that it was. Is that you had to figure out where 13 was, and he was going to run a route, and he was going to get open, and he was going to catch the football for you. And there were a couple of times this year where he absolutely saved Clemson on some third down plays, particularly in the win over Syracuse when Trevor Lawrence goes down in that contest, and there's a ball that Chase Bryce. It was his first completion, as a matter of fact, of the game. And Bryce is rolling to his right, and he just threw it in the vicinity of Renfrow. He threw it actually to his left. He threw it to his left shoulder when the throw was supposed to be to his right shoulder, and somehow Renfrow went up in the air, contorted his body, turned around, got two hands on it, and brought it down for a first down that did lead to a touchdown.
Yeah, he has great body control. You talked about his throw it in his vicinity. He's again not the greatest leaping ability, but again, if it's within his catch radius, he is coming down with it. His ability to, like you stated on that last example, his ability to turn his body to make the catch, and I saw a lot of sprawled out, flat out catches that he made, kind of semi-crawling it in with one hand so that he could secure it, falling backwards. His body control is especially in traffic, which a lot of those slot receiver types, have to deal with, a tight end, or a linebacker, those slot corners in traffic. His ability to come down with the ball, even on contested catches, is incredible.
Yeah, it is. He has better leaping ability, I think, than people give him credit for. He has great on-field awareness, and he knows how to separate. He knows how to get separation, and certainly in the professional game, that as for a wide receiver, that's maybe the biggest key of them all. Obviously, the windows in professional football are much smaller than they are in the college game, but Hunter is a guy that knows how to create separation. And for a quarterback, that's invaluable.
Yeah, I think that the other thing that really gets, even in traffic, his ability to avoid big hits, his, like you said, his situational awareness, where he's at on the field. You never saw him get absolutely rocked. He would be able to glance off of blows. He'd still get hit, and tackled, pretty much right away. But it was never, you never see him get absolutely destroyed and just get rocked and have to come off the field. He's able to kind of roll off a lot of those, and his football IQ, especially when it comes to where the best spots in the zone are, how to move away from defenders, and like you said, the way he can get his separation, I think is going to be a huge plus for him. And whatever team gets him is going to really have a phenomenal receiver to work with.
Yeah, and they're also going to get a special teams guy as well. He's a guy that can punt. He was our backup punter at times this season. When we traveled on the road, we only traveled with one punter, and Hunter would be the backup. He actually got a kickoff in the Wake Forest game in a blowout win at Wake Forest and punted in that game. But he's also a guy that will, if you want him to hold, he can do that. If you want him to play on special teams, punt coverage, kickoff coverage, be a gunner or something like that, he can do that for you. He can be a return man. So he can do a lot of things. He can do a lot of things for a football team. And most importantly, what we haven't talked about yet, he's a great, and I mean great blocker. Great blocker. And believe me, that is another thing at wide receiver. I think that fan bases overlook way too much, but believe me, coaching staffs do not.
Well, yeah, being up here in Seattle, the Seahawks really pride themselves. Their wide receivers pride themselves on their ability to block to help out the run game, because it's such a big part of the Seahawks game plan. That's one thing that you hear Doug Baldwin, Tyler Lockett, and those guys talk about a lot is they pride themselves on their blocking ability. And I think that in Seattle, that may be a good spot for them to be as well. Last thing that I want to put out there. You talked a little bit about his off the field. Great guy in the community, great guy in the locker room, and really just his tenaciousness is what I saw and wanted to mention. Just you look at everything that he does on the field, you see that, but also off the field, knowing that he was a walk-on that earned a scholarship, played a redshirted, and then came through and played 4 years. Just his tenacity, I guess, is something that really you can't put on paper.
No, you can't. He obviously you've got Jerron Brown that's there with the Seahawks, who's a former Clemson wide receiver. And my guess is that Jerron's probably going to be the same way, or that Hunter's going to be the same way that Jerron is. I'm sure that Jerron is a guy that is the consummate professional that is there with the Seahawks now, and but it is going to be, to me, it's going to be very interesting to watch Hunter, what he does off the field, because I think that's where a lot of professional athletes now, particularly when they're young professional athletes, all of a sudden realize the talents and the gifts that are given to them, and then also the platform that is given to them. And I know that Hunter will make the best use of the platform that is given to him. And he'll adopt something and take it on as being his point of call, and he'll go out and he will do it very, very well.
All right, Don, we want to thank you again for giving some of your time. It's been an honor to speak with you again this year, as we did a couple years ago. We may have to actually do this every year, since the 2 years I've spoken to you, we're just after you guys won a national championship. So,
well, I hope you're calling me again next year. I hope we can do 2 in a row and 3 and 4. So, and something tells me we're going to be a pretty good shot to do it all over again, to be perfectly honest with you.
I think that Clemson's going to be in good shape for a few years. Again, thank you, Don, for giving us some of your time to talk about Hunter, and again, wish you and all of Clemson the best.
I appreciate it. Always good to spread a little gospel of the Tigers.
All right, we'll talk to you later. Hey, SkullKing Nation, thank you for listening to the SkullKing Football Podcast. Did you like this episode? If so, be sure to go to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and YouTube to subscribe. Also, please leave us a rating and reviews to let us know how we can better help you rule your leagues.